Hello, and welcome to Animal Audit Corner. Where I bring you all the where I bring you all the latest cult of Scientology news and possibly other cult news, depending on you, the viewer. This is also an interactive show where you'll help me pick one of the topics. But however, this week, I want you to help me select an introductory clip that I will add to my show. I am gonna show you a bunch of squirrels for the next 5 days, which are clips. Until the 5th day, all of you are going to select the clip that you like, and the winning clip will be the opening to this show. So keep all your notes ready and select your personal favorite. The majority of the clips that you selected will be revealed next Monday. Now, let's get to our first story, and it's about the fair game tactic and what went on. This practice, the first game story, that practice was created to deal with people, and this practice was created to deal with people that Scientology would deem evil. They use this practice on former members, journalists, and critics. This would be unusual and very dangerous practice that they have in their criminal organization. Hurting people through fair game is the most worst thing L. Ron Hubbard ever created. When they fair game, they would stalk, harass, and intimidate, They even went as far as vandalizing other people's property. And that's what Scientology does. If it's a critic, like a protester, they would get their members to attack them by using unusual tactics to attack them. OSA, which is the Office of Special Affairs, and David Miscavige would send private investigators to go after them. They would find out where they live, where they're living, and drive to their place of residence and park outside and start to surveil them. Then when their victim leaves the house, they would start to follow them from one place to another. Some people know that they are being followed, and some don't. They even go dumpster diving by going through other people's trash. And if a sanitation worker has it, they would track them down and would pay them for their trash. And that would usually be $20. Hold up for more sanitation workers, because I call that cheap. They would get the security company that handles them is Talent Security, and they would get paid over $1 million to surveil all their victims and follow them. This is how they are using their tax exempt status for, which they practically have. Why? It's just one of those things. And I'll tell you what you can do at the end of the show when it comes to their fair game practice. Hang around at the end. Those guys would get their money from Office of Special Affairs and David Miscavige. They get it from their members as a donation by squeezing money right out of them. Also would use the tables to block all doors and start to collect money from them, even though they only pay them $50. And this is right before taxes. Then after, they would get, wait, they don't pay any taxes. That's another thing. But they're wealthy members that squeeze it out of them by wealthy members who also give them donations. But only they don't believe they are actually being ripped off. Which is really sad, because guess what? They don't care. So they're really stupid. In Los Angeles, one of the fair games would be used on protesters. In Los Angeles, protesters were swatted because OSA decided to call the police and tell them that the protesters had guns and that they were firing them. Then the police, which is the LAPD, went into the streets thinking there was a crime scene and started to SWAT them. One of them was a minor. Police patted them down and found no gun on them. After the swatting, police did no investigation. And the reason why they won't do an investigation on them, which is Scientology, is because the reason why there's no investigation, because they are on Scientology's payroll. That's the reason why the LAPD won't do an investigation on Scientology. It's because they work for them. Scientology will stop at nothing to get even with anyone who speaks the truth about them, and they hate it. On the final note, we all have critics. Do we always like what they say? Of course not. We just brush it off and just move on with the rest of our lives. They don't. They hang on to it and then start to carry a grudge. But ultimately, they will always use fair game practice on former members, journalists, and critics. Where overall, some of the Scientologists used as slaves that get paid $50 a week. But sometimes they don't get paid at all. And they manage to squeeze money out of them to use it for no reason. I mean, for a stupid thing. And they can't afford to make a donation like this because other churches don't squeeze money out of people if they can't afford it. Finally, some of the LAPD won't do an investigation on them because they are in bed with Scientology and hire them as security. And this is in their uniforms, which is usually not allowed because they work for the public. The public would think that they are there for them, which they're supposed to, because that's why they're wearing the uniform. They have to be out of the uniform in order to work for a company. They can't be in uniform. And not only they use it fair game tactics on people, they would do also inhumane tactics on journalists, critics, and their former members. They would use their dogs. Is it a line of intimidation? What do you think? Of course, my first topic, even though they were just treating those people inhumane, they would also treat their pets inhumanely. I'm going to tell you a story about Joe Sapple, who is a journalist for the Los Angeles Times. He's been with the news publication for 26 years and takes pride in his job. The writing, the deadlines, which a journalist loves to handle. Sapple enjoys working for the Los Angeles Times publication as a reporter. But there would be a price to pay when working for a paper like that one. There are people and organizations that can make an enemy out of an individual. Joel knows that firsthand. That's what Scientology did. They made an enemy out of Joel. Scientology is a disaster waiting to happen, and that is the truth. Joel was doing an expose on Scientology from their founder, L. Ron Hubbard. That story made all the international headlines, which is a journalist's dream. Sapple and his co-writer, Bob Wilkos, who did that two-part story on Scientology, then both of them gained notoriety when they wrote that story. Like Paulette Cooper before them, after they get their story published to the general public, strange things started to happen. Both Joel and Bob Wilkos started to get fair game. One day, Joel got a dog 1 year after graduation, one day after graduating high school. He got her from the Huntington Beach. He got the dog from the Huntington Beach shelter. The dog was a female German Shepherd that he would name Crystal. He would have her through college and right on through his marriage to his wife, Linda. Linda even fell in love with Crystal. The dog was their pride and joy in both their lives. Both Joel and Linda would feed her, walk her, and took proper care of her. Then one day, Krista fell ill, which is so baffling because those two really took care of their dog. They did all the right things. And then she gets sick. Joel's wife, Linda, called him from the vet while he was out of town with a frightened sound in her voice. And she told him that their 13-year-old German Shepherd, Crystal, fell ill. The veterinarian was trying to figure out why she suddenly got sick. She was in disbelief. She was in disbelief. A dog just doesn't get sick like the way she did. At the same time, while the dog was at the same time, while the doctor was working on Crystal, he was checking her out. His findings was very unusual. Her symptoms was gastric, intestinal, which causes vomiting. Diarrhea would be two of the gastrointestinal, which causes vomiting, and diarrhea would be two of the signs that she had. she would appear to be weak with muscle tremors, which would have shaken or trembling, that's if she digested the rat poison. Now, Crystal's doctor said that she died from some kind of poisoning, even though the vet didn't disclose what kind of poison it was. But former Scientologist Mark Hadley from Blowing for Good, a YouTube show he has with his wife, Claire Hadley. Mark would say that they would use fair game practice, which is a tactic they would use to punish critics, their former members, and journalists. He states that one of their tactics would be putting rat poison in dog food. That would have them bleeding out. Now, that's if she swallowed it, which she did. But the doctor said he wasn't sure what kind of poison it was. But guess what? He said it was poison, even though he didn't closely identify it. After Joel's dog died, he was trying to think who would want to kill his dog, Crystal. He thought of one, Scientology, even though he didn't really directly see him put rat poison in her food. But he did have more than enough run-ins with them. So he thought it was a real possibility. Even though Seppelt works for the Los Angeles Times publication as a reporter for 26 years when this happened, when he was doing an expose on Scientology, the story from their founder, L. Ron Hubbard, that story made all the international headlines, where ultimately the female German Shepherd that he named Crystal that he had throughout college and right on through his marriage to his wife, Linda. Also, nevertheless, Joe's wife, Linda, called him from the vet while he was out of town, sounded very fearful. She told him that their 13-year-old dog fell ill. Now, Crystal's doctor said that she died from some kind of poisoning, even though the vet didn't enclose what kind of poison. In conclusion, Joel's dog, Crystal, will be remembered. Now, I got a question for you guys out there. Leave it in the comments down below. Now, do you think killing a dog should be treated like a regular crime, like they would do their human counterparts where they are murdered? What do you think? Leave it at the comments below, and I'll read them back to you, and I definitely will. Well, thank you for tuning in. Bye for now.